Hey everybody, and welcome to another Star Citizen video. My name is Scary Spikes, and today we're going to be taking a look at the very new and very interesting Anvil C8R Pisces Rescue. Alright everybody, so first and foremost, let's have a look and see what we can do about getting this ship into our account, and really the only way at this point in time, because of how new the Anvil C8R Pisces is that you're going to have to spend some dough on it, and that's going to be either new dough or reused dough in the form of store credits there. So let's go ahead and have a look at the three available here. The first two are going to be concierge exclusives as denoted by the little concierge badge. If you don't know what that is, you have to spend at least $1,000 USD on your account in order to have concierge, which allows you to spend even more money on early access ships and packs and things like that. So it does also give you other little benefits as well. It does give you a game package, so you no longer have to have a game package for your account when you have concierge. And there are various levels of concierge as well if you are a very particular whale and you like to get to the very max and get everything that you can possibly get. That is an option for you. Now, one of the gripes that I have is that this price point is quite a bit higher than the price point of the Expedition. And before you say anything, yes, I do understand that they are the same chassis, but they are very different types of ships. And of course, that the ambulance version is very useful. I, for example, used to be a paramedic, and I really enjoy medical gameplay in games. So this is one that I'm going to be using quite a bit. And I did end up getting the LTI with the code blue paint, which again we'll get to in a second. But again, that's just me, right? This might not be as accessible for other folks, and while it is very cheap when you compare to other ships in the game that are costing upwards of $100, $200, $300, $400, $500, yes, this is certainly a very affordable ship. But not everybody just has 65 US dollars to splurge on a new ship in Star Citizen because we got to eat and clothe ourselves and house ourselves and all those things. And so, for that reason, I feel that the 30% price jump here between the Expedition and the C8R is a little excessive. I would have liked to see this at $55. I think that would have been a much more appropriate price. But again, that's just my own little gripe. Now, looking at these two concierge versions here, really the only difference is this one over here comes with the code blue paint and this one does not. So if you are concierge, I really have no idea why you wouldn't want the one that comes with the paint. It's not obligatory that you need to use it. It is optional. And so if it's the same price and they both come with lifetime insurance, yep, that one's lifetime. And let's just double check this one real quick. And that one's lifetime as well. So they both come with lifetime insurance and they're both $60, but this one comes with the extra paint. I really don't know why they even bother offering this one as well. Perhaps somebody who just doesn't want the extra paints, but I mean, it's the same price. At least they ought to give you a little break here. Maybe make this one like, I don't know, like $58 or something like that. I don't know. But in any case, those are the two options available to you. Now, this one is $65, like I said, 30% more than the C8X Pisces Expedition. And this one only comes with 6 months insurance. So that's what's available. Now, if you're watching this video a little bit later when this might be available in the game, but you want to still get it through the website, and if it doesn't happen to be available on the website for you, do get in touch with me because I will have 6-month versions of this as well as basically 120-month upgrades for these, and I will have the separate code blue paint available in my buyback as well. So if that's something you're looking for and you can't find it on the website, hit me up on Discord and I'll do my best to help you out. All right, let's jump back into the game and do the exterior and the interior tour. All right, so back in the game here, and this ship honestly does look really, really nice. I think the texture work is really quite nice as well. And the paint is actually, it's hard to see from this angle, but it does look like a bit of a matte brushed aluminum sort of metallic paint with some matte white accents, which I think does look really nice. I'm just going to have a quick run around this ship here so you guys can see around the outside. I don't remember if the thrusters on the C8X were red. I think they were red. These ones are blue, which kind of makes sense. And it's pretty much symmetrical all the way around. So let's start at the very front. We've got basically the same frame as the C8X Pisces. So you're going to see a lot of the same things. We've got the nice 2 big vents out here, as well as the 2 size 1 weapons on the front. I believe those are size 1 CF117s, if I'm not mistaken. The laser repeaters. And up top, we do have a nice little light bar. To be honest, with the way that the graphics look in this game, and I say that in a good way, I mean, the graphics are beautiful in this game. I do wish that they would have put a little bit more work into the light bar and kind of given it more of a strobe effect with some LED lights. These kind of look like they have the old school halogen lights in them that just turn, and they bounce light off of a reflector. which, I don't know, man, about 900 years in the future, you'd think they'd have better technology than that. But that's just an aesthetic thing. Doesn't really have anything to do with the function of the ship. Looking down here, we do have another little light. I didn't notice this on the C8X, and I'm wondering if that's just in the same place as the C8X. It does appear to be the main light, which is actually very bright, and so I do believe that that's probably going to be the same. Other than that, I don't see anything else here on the ship that would be very different. Of course, we do have some emergency lights on the left and the right side, the port and starboard side of the ship. I think what I really would have liked to see, and again, this is coming from my experience as a paramedic many years ago, is that if we had some scene lights available on the top here that faced outwards to the port and the starboard side of the ship with about as much intensity as the light on the front. And the reason for that is because when you're moving people around an emergency vehicle or any kind of medical vehicle, whether it be an ambulance, a fire truck, or just a sedan, you definitely want to have as much light as possible, especially in areas and places where it might be dark or you might not have as much visibility. And having scene lights on the side of this thing would definitely be really nice. So it would be a nice option. And to be honest, they could probably fit them in. I don't know what these things are over here, but like that would actually be a pretty good spot for the scene lights. Maybe just to have 2 of them there. And the scene lights could also double as emergency lights as well, which would just be really nice. We've got the folding wings as we are basically expecting to see from the C8X Pisces, so there's nothing different there. And I do believe we also have a pair of size 1 missiles. I almost forgot about those. So right under the wing here, we've got a size 1. I believe that's a marksman, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, the IR version of that. So I think that is a marksman, and we do have one on the other side as well, right under this wing here. So having a couple of missiles on your ambulance is definitely really cool. And then we've got a very nice little landing gear setup. Now, I do believe this is 4 gears. Yeah, so you have 4 gears, so that's lots of stability, which is really nice to see. And then we do have some extra little side lights and stuff like that. So this is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Having something like this, but again, just putting it on the side of the ship here and having that come out as a scene light and being able to independently control those from the cockpit would be really dope. And I think that's definitely something they should add if it's not too much trouble. We have a little tiny spoiler here, I guess. I don't know, at the top. I think that looks kind of cool. I don't think it's actually meant to be a spoiler, but it does look a little bit like one. Now, with the ramp here, before we head into the ship, you can see that we have a little cross on here. And it's definitely a lot brighter inside of the C8X, or the C8R rather than the C8X, which is definitely nice to see. And it definitely passes on a lot of those kind of ambulance vibes, because typically inside of an ambulance, you do have a lot of bright colors, a lot of bright lights, because you want to be able to see your gear, you want to be able to see your patient well, and be able to diagnose and treat any injuries or ailments that the patient has. So from that point of view, I think it's quite realistic, and I like it. Now, one last thing to look at here is on the back, we do have a button that we can push. So this is definitely a nice upgrade over what I remember from the C8X. Although if they did this for the C8R, I imagine they probably would have added it to the C8X. But let me know in the comments if I'm mistaken on that. It's definitely nice to have a button on the side. What I would have liked, though, is to have basically an ambi button. So an ambidextrous, I guess you could say, where it's on one side, but it's also on the other. And again, the reason for that is, it would be important to people who are helping to save lives to be able to access the inside of their ambulance, whether it's to transport a patient or whether it's to grab essential medical gear or what have you. It's good to have redundancies, and it's good to be able to approach the vehicle from any side and know that you can get inside and take care of business as quickly as possible. That being said, let's go ahead and head inside the vehicle now and see what amenities we have on board. All right, so stepping on to the inside of the vehicle here, we have a little panel on the side here that's going to allow us to close the door. And immediately, I've got some praises for whoever designed this vehicle. First of all, we have some nice ventilation over here. This is always a must. You need to have good ventilation inside your emergency vehicles for various reasons. And we have a little bit of like a delousing station here, which is also quite nice. It seems to me like this is very similar to that of what we see on the Carrack just before you enter the med bay in that ship. And that's definitely really nice. Now, of course, I would recommend having this not be auto open, or at least to have the option to choose whether you can have this auto open or just to open it manually. And that's pretty obvious. You don't want to just basically come in dirty and, have the door open for you, which of course now it's not going to, that I've closed it manually. But this door does open automatically. I'm sure if I step away from it and allow it to close, and then we walk a little closer to it, it should just open by itself. which there you go. Okay, so that happens the same way from this side as well. I do wish that there was an option to make that manual, because again, you know, it's probably not going to have really any impact in the game, as we don't have any mechanics for contagious diseases or anything like that. But again, from my experience, it's definitely nice to have that option. Of course, regular old ambulances don't have that because we just don't have the space for that. But it's definitely nice to be able to do that in a video game if you have the agency to make those changes. So that's definitely something that would be nice. Now, moving in, this is the main compartment here. And it would be nice if this light was just a little bit brighter. We do have a brighter light here over the bed for the patient, so that's definitely a plus. And it looks like we've got a little monitor here. And contrary to, I think, what most folks might think that's for, I would imagine that hopefully in the future this is used for monitoring the patient's vitals and basically just using that as a status monitor for various things. I know that there's a screen over here as well, and that's definitely really nice. This is something that you can use to essentially diagnose the patient's condition. This is going to be a tier 3 bed as well, so you're not going to be able to fix a whole lot of things. Just very basic injuries. Anything that's tier 3 will work just fine. I'm not 100% sure if it will fix hunger and thirst, but in my opinion, I think maybe in the future that should be changed, because although it's very convenient now, I feel like if we reduced the rates at which hunger and thirst accumulated and also removed the ability to recharge those in a hospital bed, I think that would actually be a pretty good balance point. So let me know what you think about that in the comments down below. Now in here, this does also look like a little screen over here, which is nice. In hindsight, I'm kind of thinking maybe if this was a screen, we could use that for patient information and perhaps use that for patient entertainment. So that could be something as well. Now, on the other side, this is really something that surprised me quite a bit, and both from the bottom and the top here. So let me show you the top first. We've got some patient storage in here, and we've got some crew storage. And you're probably thinking to yourself, okay, whatever. We've got 2 storage lockers, and whatever. We're just going to be able to put anything in there, and it's all going to get mixed up anyway. Well, actually, you'd be wrong. And I was wrong too, because I had assumed that that was the case. But if we go into patient storage, you can see that our last patient forgot some food and drinks in here. But if we go to the crew storage, you might be able to see that it's a little bit different. We've got some med pens in here. So the fact that you have physicalized separate storage on a ship of this size is actually really, really big. And I have to applaud whoever's idea it was to implement that here. It's honestly really helpful, and it's just so nice to stay organized. I remember when I used to work on my truck, I used to be really OCD about making sure that everything was in the right place, because when and if I needed specific equipment, I knew exactly where I needed to go to get that equipment, and so that I didn't waste time, and I was able to help my patients accordingly. Now over here, we have some kind of sanitizer. This actually looks really interesting. It looks like some kind of like UVC sanitizer, which, I don't know, maybe 900 years in the future, they're a lot more effective these days. Do not buy these on Amazon or anything, because they're not as effective as they claim they are. And we do have some basic medical supplies here, it looks like. Now that's going to be a very bright light. See if we can zoom in a little bit. So yeah, we've got some needles here, some syringes. That's pretty cool. We've got what looks like some either IV bags or possible blood bags here, which if these were full, you definitely want to keep that in the fridge down below. And then we have some trays and stuff like that. We have like a little bedside tray here for patients that might not be able to use the restroom, or if they have, they're feeling nauseous or something like that. And then down here, we've got some gauze, which is nice, and some gloves, which is definitely a hallmark of any emergency vehicle. So definitely nice to see that. We have a nice little sink here as well, which doesn't seem like I can turn this on, but that's okay. I feel like that's a little shallow, but again, I'm just kind of nitpicking at this point. I actually really love this ship. I really like the way that it's designed. And down here, starting on the left, we've got some waste disposal. And then we also have something here that says secure before takeoff. This seems like it could be some kind of battery, which is kind of cool. And we also have some oxygen containers. Again, this is very, very typical of something that you would see on an ambulance. Now, on an ambulance, we actually have these behind certain panels inside the ambulance. And we have wiring basically inside the exterior wall and interior wall of the ambulance. We have a variety of wiring and tubing and stuff like that that goes to essentially equipment that we have right here just beside the patient. And that's so that we can use suction, we can provide oxygen, and a variety of other services for the patient. So having these on this side, I don't think that actually makes sense. This would be nice to have if somehow this was rerouted to like a little maybe like a little oxygen station over here that we're able to hook up like an oxygen line into, or if we had a suction system here or something like that, I think that would make more sense. This, it doesn't make really a whole lot of sense, especially since it looks like there's outlets here for connecting various devices, like, you know, non-rebreather masks and stuff like that, or a nasal cannula for oxygen, for oxygen therapy for the patient. But then you'd have to basically drag them across the floor and over to the patient bed. So again, for storage, I think this makes sense, but for actually delivering oxygen to the patient and having some other tools here right beside the patient's bed, I think that would definitely make a lot more sense. Right, so now looking down here, we're going to open this up, and this was like really, really big. Like, this is so cool. So let's start on the right side. On the right side, we have some snacks, some food and stuff like that. We also have some medications down here as well. A little bit more so on the left-hand side than on the right-hand side. But as you can see, we have some med pens down here, which I'm just going to go ahead and grab a couple and store it in my inventory. But that is just so nice that this comes with like water, with med pens and stuff like that. If I can get down here, you guys can kind of see a little bit better. We have some more supplies down here. And this is just like really, really nice. To have a little fridge here and being able to access this stuff is really great, because oftentimes I forget to bring med pens, and so it's just so nice to have. Now, we do have more stuff over here. You can see that we actually have a variety of different medications for a variety of different ailments that our patient may have. And again, this was exceptionally well thought out. Like, I can't believe that they included that in here. It's just so nice to have that, and it's made me completely fall in love with this ship, and I'm never going to get rid of it because of that. So this is really nice. Whoever thought of this idea to have a refrigerated medicine storage cabinet on board for something of this size, I think that's absolutely brilliant. Right, so let me just go ahead and clean up all that drool with a blanket, and then or with the towel, and then we'll continue with the rest of the tour here. And then we do have a little screen here. This is going to be for crew access, and unfortunately, regeneration is not going to be available on here. Again, this is a tier 3 bed, so you're not going to be able to regenerate on here. You are going to be able to heal any kind of tier 3 injury, which is nice, which you'll be able to do here under the patient care tab. But of course, we don't have a patient on board, so we can't do that just yet. Now, down here, it doesn't look like we have too much else. There are little things that open up, and to be honest, I'm really not sure what that's for. I'm trying to get down to kind of get a better look, but we've got a C2 and a C1. So I'm wondering what that's going to be used for in the future. If you have any ideas, do let me know down in the comments below. We do also have a jump seat here. Again, in a standard ambulance, we do typically have a jump seat for a nurse or someone else, like a specialty healthcare provider that might be coming with us, like maybe an anesthesiologist, a nurse, anyone that's really specialized in whatever the patient needs. They usually ride along inside of the ambulance in a little jump seat like this. So that's nice to have that there. And that's also fairly close to the bed as well. So there's a lot of space here for the paramedics or whoever's taking care of the patient to do so. But then there is also another jump seat here available as well. And if this is going to be a 2-man crew, then all the better, because you've got the paramedic who can just kind of hang out on the back and be secure while the pilot is flying the ambulance. So again, really well thought out. Now over here, there's not a whole lot going on. We've got some radars and computers and stuff like that. There's a battery down here. But as far as I can see, I don't have access to this. I want to see if I can open this up. But I don't think it's working. Let me try that again. We are getting like a little... You guys see that, right? We're getting like a little hand icon to click on that, but I don't think that's working. So I think this is something that might be implemented in the future. We've got a little screen here as well, and then another pair of lights. And then if we have a seat, we can have a look inside the cockpit here. This is going to be very similar to that of the original Pisces. I'm going to just turn the lights off here just for a second, which you can toggle with L. And by the way, when you do that, you don't just turn on the front light, but you do also turn on the emergency lights as well. So something to keep in mind. And if I had a little gripe, it would be that it would be nice to turn on the emergency lights and the main lights separately. If I just hold F here and move around the cockpit, I can see that there's unfortunately not a whole lot that I can click on. There are a couple of buttons like open exterior over here. Other than that, there's not a whole lot. We've got the typical engine on, engine off, power off. We've got the annunciator panel here in the middle. And then we've got some more buttons down here, but many of them seem to not be bound, which that's okay. So we've got a couple of different screens. We've got a little MFD over here on the left-hand side and another one on the right-hand side. And then we've got 4 MFDs starting from the left, moving to the right. So we have 2 main MFDs on the left, 2 on the right, and then we have a nice little 3-dimensional radar in the middle. And that's pretty much going to do it for this video. Thank you so very much for watching. I hope you found it helpful and enjoyable. This is certainly a ship that I'm going to be flying a lot, and it's definitely going to motivate me to get into rescue and working as a medic in Stanton. So if you'd like to join me, come on over to our Discord and hang out with us. In the meantime, if you found this video helpful and enjoyable, you can help me out in a big way. Just make sure to hit the like button down below. That really does help the YouTube algorithm. And make sure to subscribe and make sure to turn on notifications if you haven't done that already. That way you can get notified of every time I post a video. Of course, I just want to thank the patrons and members that make this channel what it is and allow me to continue making these videos. Patrons, of course, on Patreon, and the channel members here on YouTube. And if you'd like to go above and beyond and help me out in that regard, there's a few different options and tiers available for you. And the links for those are going to be down in the description. Once again, everybody, thank you so very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope to see you in the next video.